It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Columbia, this is Houston, AOS, over.
What's going on, folks? Welcome back to another episode of the Knicks Wall Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Kyle Maggio, joined by my co-hosts, Shaun and Mike Cortez. What's going on, boys? How's everything?
You're feeling fantastic.
Life is good. 4 in a row. Life is very good right now.
Life is pretty good, and life would be better if you were making some of your wagers on Prize Picks, which is the official sponsor of this podcast. I was trying to find the right, you can't use certain words. I was trying to find the right word. This was a live read. But yeah, the official partner of this podcast is Prize Picks. So make sure you're taking our picks of the night. Most of the time it is something with RJ Barrett, and most of the time it fucking cashes because RJ Barrett has been balling. So if you want to make a little, little extra, it's tax season. We all need a little extra. I know not all of us are getting the tax return. A lot of us are paying the IRS more after a year full of losing our tax money. But if you're one of those, you want to make a little extra money, come make these RJ Barrett picks with us over at Prize Picks because we've been handing out free money. So it's a good time. Use code TKW. The link is in the pin tweet on our Twitter profile and go from there. But we are here today, boys, not to just talk Prize Picks. We're here today to talk Knicks. Of course, we got a lot to catch up on. Been a couple weeks, but today, on a day we were going to record anyway, this Julius Randle stuff breaks. It's unconfirmed. Let's start with it's unconfirmed. This is not verified information. There were 3 people trying to run with it today. We will name in order of how we saw it, but none of which are really super duper credible. You got to take every one of these with a grain of salt. But yeah, so it comes from Craig Carton, first of all, WFAN, right? And he basically says that a source tells him unconfirmed. I don't know how you go on, try to go on record with the source, but also say unconfirmed. It's I don't know what that means, really. Does that just mean like I could be lying, but here it is. Like it's a very nasty thing to say. Like, I mean, I don't know how I could possibly. I'm going to start making reports that way. Like this might not be true, and then I'll just say something that I want to happen. This might not be true, but I would. LeBron's considering the Knicks. He might force his way here. It's unconfirmed. You don't know. Could be true. It's a very thing. It's weird, right? It's weird. It's weird. But yeah, Craig Carton was the one who said it. So basically Julius Randle, wants to, after this season with the Knicks. Incarcerated Bob had sort of the same thing a couple hours later, said he, sources close to the situation, however he worded it, basically said, Julius wants out. And then, the latter tweets that we saw cited stuff saying like, oh, Julius wants out, might force his way out, like a James Harden situation, whatever. And we see stuff from Mark Berman comes out and basically, we see, what did he say? Julius is changing another part of the locker room. And I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I don't know where everybody's getting this information from in the last 24 hours. If it is verified information, go fully on the record here. But it's been, I'm going to throw it, lob this up to one of you guys for reactions here. But I mean, it's been a very up and down 2 years for Julius. Obviously, last year was top of the world. This year was inconsistent. And obviously fans were not pleased with his level of play this year. Obviously understandable to a level with what we saw last year, which was based in night-to-night consistency and effort and hard work. And then this year to see, have a team with expectations, and then you want to be led by that guy and not have that night-to-night consistency. Obviously, fans are not going to be pleased with that. So basically, I think Mark Berman in the article also is basically saying, early in the season, the way fans turned on him might have also played a factor. And, so all this to say, it has been a year It has been a year for us with Julius. It's been a year for Julius with us, just in general. But you know, Mike, I just want to, because I know Shaun's got like probably not the hottest, but I know Shaun's gonna give like the best spiel, so I'm trying to save him, for the end here. But like, Mike, give me your Julius thoughts, like initially, season wise, but obviously today, like what when you saw these different things popping up. I mean, what did you buying it or not, and then what's your take on them in general?
I think I'm buying it just from the end of the last game with the Bulls. Like, Knicks have a pretty good win, and he visibly looked pissed off. I noticed that before it became a thing today. But I think it's just like, first they hate you, then they love you, then they hate you again. It's really just, that's what it's like right now. And it's either, I don't know if he just can't handle the criticism. I don't think it's that. But something clearly off. And I think it was Drew that pointed out in Slack before. Before, when fans weren't in the stands, he seemed to just play more loose. And then I guess he kind of just rode that momentum into when fans started to slowly come back. But since it's been normal, he's kind of regressed to the guy that we saw in his first year with the Knicks, which is like forcing his way too much, not feeding the hot hand, even though it would benefit the team. And like, it's kind of just cascaded into this thing where now you have a convicted scammer that's being tied to a legitimate rumor. So he's down bad. I just don't know where it's coming from. I would like to know. I'm not buying the jealous of RJ thing, but I don't know.
I wouldn't say Julius is jealous of RJ, but I also wouldn't say that he's not. I mean, and not just because he's some bad person. I think just naturally, honestly, quite honestly. I mean, from going to the playoff game last year to watching games on TV last year to being at the season opener this year and hearing the way that, the MVP chants were raining down on him when he was at the line, and then being in the Garden now and hearing the absolute silence when he's at the line, and then hearing the RJ Barrett chants, and, RJ, the team is clearly pivoted to now building around RJ and things like that. That as a human being, that must be tough. Like, if I was standing at the free throw line and getting MVP chants, and because honestly, the silence hurts me, and I'm tired of his shit. But the silence hurts me when he's at the free throw line. It's like, damn, they used to rain down MVP chants on this guy, and now he goes to the free throw line, and everybody's like on their phones. Like, it's kind of wild. So I mean, that has to be tough to deal with from a personal standpoint. But I mean, he just hasn't handled it well. His energy has sucked for many. I don't think that's the primary reason. But his energy has really just been trash. His energy's been bad. He hasn't been consistent offensively, but the fact that his offensive inconsistency has been the least of my worries. Like, recently, he went 6 for 22 in back-to-back games, and I didn't even care about how he was shooting. He just looked like he didn't want to be on the court. Then last night he's 1 for 9. I don't really care about the 1 for 9. You just look like you don't want to be out there. Like, the basketball shouldn't be less fun with you on the court. Not as the highest paid player. Like, honestly, when I heard that he was back in the lineup, I was discouraged, and then that the game after that was not as much fun. The ball doesn't flow the same way. At one point in that game, what was the game we played after? Was it, who do we play? Oh, Detroit, right? Yeah, Detroit.
On Sunday,
Detroit, yeah, that Detroit game, like, there was a point where IQ and RJ both had it going, and we were going through them, things were flowing well. And then we stopped and we started going through Julius for like 5 straight possessions. We went to Julius ISOs, and in all fairness to him, he scored on the first like 2 or 3. He hit a fallback baby jumper. He made the pump fake, and I think Corey Joseph flew by him or whatever, and he got the layup. And it was like, okay. Then he had the turnover, and then IQ went back and made the stop, and then he came down and missed the layup. And it's just like the way that Julius scored. Like, at Obi in that same game had 8 points in 8 minutes. Obi in the Hornets game that we played had 18 points, 11 boards, 6 assists on 8 for 11 shooting. And Obi doesn't stop the offense. Like, Obi gets his by taking off on fast breaks, by cutting back door, by hitting spot up jumpers. The ball is able to move. For Obi to be effective, everything doesn't have to stop. And what I was hoping when Julius came back was that he would kind of fall into that mold. And I did my absolute best. I didn't start the season. Last season, I was the main one defending Julius. After people were killing him for the playoff performance, I was like, you can't turn on him because of 5 games, blah, blah, blah. Then this season, people were killing him, and I was like, hey, don't pull out the bazooka, grab the 9. Like, you don't have to kill him that much. But as time has gone on, it's just like, the effort level, the energy level, the Yeah, like you said, Mike, I realized that before it became a conversation today. He tossed the ball over his shoulder and walked. I've never seen a Knick walk off that way. They normally all walk off to the other side. So he walked off to the Chicago bench side. And I'm just like, yo, like, we won. Like, everybody else is on the court celebrating, hugging each other, high-fiving. You know, they normally come together and, like, do a huddle after wins and stuff like that. Like, he was gone. And so it's just like, if you're that detached from the team, bro, you know, to be honest, I'd say I'm not proud of it, but I'd be lying. I'm not going to lie. Last night he was playing so poorly, I just got legitimately fed up. It wasn't even a Julius hate thing. It was just like, this doesn't need to be a night where I watch 40 minutes of Julius and 8 minutes of Obi, because Obi's playing better. So he had a couple bad plays back to back, but he made a behind. There was a double that came. He waited until the double came. Then he was caught in the double. And then he made a behind the back pass to Jericho Sims' feet. And that was enough for me. And I stood up and I yelled, "We want Obi." And I didn't really think it would catch, you know, I was yelling for a little while, and then I kind of stopped because I was like, all right, I don't want to be standing here just yelling by myself. And then once I stopped, I realized it kept going. And the guy next to me was like, hey, you might have just did something. And then it started echoing. And then, you know, people said they heard it on TV. They were like, hey, do it again. So then I was like, next time the Bulls go to the free throw line, I got you. Did it again. They got even louder. And now we hear reports about him wanting a trade. So I'm not saying I chased him out of town, but like, I'm not saying I didn't if it turns out to be true. And I just feel like it was what had to be done. I feel like for the, you know, beyond the chance, but just for the sake of the Knicks and for the sake of Julius, I believe this relationship is beyond repair. I don't know how you are at where Julius is at. Like, I don't know what it would, you know, in his Players Tribune article, that's the part that's so hurtful about this, because his Players Tribune article was so great. The guy we were rooting for last year was so great. Mike, your article about him was so great and how it was one of the greatest seasons we've had in Knicks history, and it really was. So to have that same guy who took accountability for what he was doing in year one and said he didn't like the way that he looked, and, you know, in terms of, he was like, you know, he's like, I hated what I saw. I hated what I saw my son emulating and things like that. And it's just like, for him to be back to that, and honestly probably worse at this point, it just hurts. It hurts. And it just seems like this has run its course. It seems like now we're going to have, we should be pivoting to going, like, building around RJ regardless, but it also seems like he's not going to handle that as well. And if that's not what he wants and that's not how he wants to be a part of things, that's fine. You know, he may have to go somewhere else. Like, you know, it's no hard feelings. I'm not upset. When he goes somewhere else, I'm not going to hope that he doesn't do well so that we can be right about him. I don't need him to do poorly. Like, I hope he goes to Portland and thrives next to Dame, whatever it may be. I don't care. But like, it's not here. It's not here. It's run its course. The relationship with the fans is broken. The relationship with his teammates looks to be broken. His energy is shitty. And I would much rather, like, I don't think he's even the best power forward for this team on the roster. I much prefer watching us play basketball with Obi in the game. Like, he's engaged on defense all the time. He's running out in transition. He's adding an element that we either need or don't have, whatever it may be. But, you know, he fits and everybody seems happy, you know, and I think that a lot of things come as writing on the wall, and I try to look at everything that way. But when RJ and Obi did their joint press conference, I was like, oh, Julius is gone. Julius is gone. RJ and Obi are doing joint press conferences? Since when? How often do we do joint press conferences? You know, so I don't know, man, but I hope that is the case, because I have gotten to the point now where I no longer enjoy watching him play basketball. I want him off this team, and I wish there was a way to shut him down for the rest of the season, and I stand on that.
Yeah, I think they should shut him down, period. Just because how detached he is, maybe he just needs to reset. But Kyle, what's a bigger red flag to you? To me, it's if he really is jealous about RJ, or not jealous, but, you know, frustrated that RJ kind of passed him already, because that's kind of what the end game should have been when he signed that contract. Like, he should have known, like, I'm here to help vault this guy up. He's 21 years old.
I mean, I still don't know that I buy that. I don't. I think, if anything, like, I would understand more if it was like the human element, like Shaun was saying, where just in general, like, more of the attention being pulled away from him versus it being anything really about RJ. Because like I do kind of stand by, last year, a lot of it was obviously he ended up getting the All-Star nod, but it really was about the two of them. Like they were doing a lot like graphics and things that were made, covers that were shot. A lot of it was about the two of them. You know what I mean? The slam cover, obviously. So, I mean, while Julius, of course, was like the leader and the top gun last year, um, it seemed like they were both enjoying this rise together. So it would feel weird to me that RJ getting better suddenly would be a problem for him. Like that's the strange part to me. What I think is more likely is like partly what Shaun said about like the human element to it, but I think the balance of whatever they were trying to do or not trying to do kind of ended up ruining a lot of things because it felt like to me things were always all or nothing, right? You're either getting 12 minutes of Julius and it's going to be 6 straight hands off to Fournier and you know exactly what's coming, right? Whether it's the rotation or the play calls, it's all in right now. These two guys, right? We're getting these two guys going, and then when they started giving it to RJ, come December, January, it was the same thing. It was like very drastic. It was like RJ, here's the fucking ball, man. Just here you go, possession after possession. So to me, it felt like there was no, I wouldn't say no pecking order established, but like no balance within that because it seemed like very aimless with what they're trying to do night to night, quarter to quarter, a lot of time, versus like Shaun said in the Detroit game, 5 straight Randle possessions in a row right after the ball had been whipping around, and like yeah, he made them right. Okay, good, but the point is like, why is it 5 straight? This has been my problem all year. Why is anything straight? Why is anything consecutively in a row? Like it's not like we're Chris Paul fucking dicing up defenses that we can keep running our stuff 5 or 6 or 7 times in a row and they got to stop us, right? Like that's not what's happening. So whenever we run stuff in a row, like, and this is for anything too, because like there's times when everybody's tweeting like, oh my God, well, RJ would, just killed him 6-7 possessions in a row. Why aren't we continuing to go through RJ? And it's like, well, partly because you can't do that every single possession, right? But like, it starts to get predictable or guys start to make mistakes, get a little too aggressive, too tired, right? Whatever. But it's just like, I just don't get what the offensive game plan or approach was this year, like within any of that. So that was a problem for me too. So I don't know what like it was for him specifically. I don't know if he was, upset with himself, starts pressing, fans get upset. He feels a way about that. It could be also usually it's just all these things. At the end of the day, it's never really one thing. Usually it's just like a little thing bothered me here, a little thing bothered me here. This bothered me more than it should. I didn't let go of this. You know what I mean? And, adds up. You missed the playoffs. You're embarrassed after you were just the most improved player last year. You make the playoffs. It looks like you guys are on the upswing individually as a team. So I'm sure it's a lot of things. Like this was pretty, not great for him in that aspect. So, I mean, the only thing I will say is, again, I don't mind the whole move on from him conversation. I just, this is what everybody did after the 2019 season. And I think, there's a reality where, not that I'm I'm not for or against this, but I think there's a reality where like the Knicks come in and go, hey man, we don't believe that you're going to have the worst shooting season of your career again. Okay. We're sorry for, maybe the way the fans react or whatever, but we don't think you're going to be that bad again. We just want to, we're starting this new 4-year deal, whatever. Let's see how this year goes. This is what we're going to do to change things, whatever. We plan on bringing, whatever in, right? Like whatever they're going to tell them their plan is, right? Everybody thinks it's Brunson, whoever it is, okay, here's what we plan to do. Here's how that's going to help you offensively. Here's what we plan, whatever it is. I feel like if they're bringing Tibbs back, I feel like they're bringing Randle back. And I feel like at least to start the year, that's going to be how that goes. Because not that I think that's the worst thing in the world either, because you could still explore trades for him. I think this rushing to give him away conversation is like, that's where I kind of get lost. I think you could be more pragmatic about wanting to move him, but just find like kind of more fair value for him. That's all. Like, I don't think you got to press to get off of him. Like he's an albatross either. Like, again, it was a career worst shooting year, but 20, 10, and 5. Not many guys were still giving you that level of production, no matter how ugly it was. Like, and I know at times it was ugly this year. But I do think you can make the case that the Knicks will just bring him back and tweak the rest of the roster, maybe, right? Or we'll see what they try to do with trade market wise. But I can't see them just doing like the Portland thing and just trying to move him for the sake of, not attaching picks to get rid of the contract. At worst, it's like the 50th highest paid contract in the NBA, right? Like, it's not something you got to really sprint to get out of. It's more like, all right, if it makes sense, this is what I said at the deadline too. If it makes sense, like, yeah, do what you got to do, But I think there's, I don't know about a, 1-to-1 fair value deal, but I think there's something that's more than just dumping him in Portland for the sake of moving up a spot. You know what I mean? Like, there's other deals. Like, go find a better deal then. If that's what you're gonna do, fine. And the reason I say that too is because if you rush to do that, I think that does you a disservice to trying to build around RJ too. I think if you're smart about what you can flip Randle for, that helps you now. Because, for example, I've gotten on here last couple of times and bitched to you guys about the Knicks don't have pick leverage anymore. The Knicks don't have whatever. They blew the picks. Okay, well, you don't know what you can get in a Randle deal if you're smart about it. So, depending where you got to go, depending which team you could leverage, like, see what sticks. Like, go call around, but don't just dump as soon as the offseason ends. I think that's a long offseason. You got till the trade deadline next year. Like, you could figure some shit out.
I think they're just going to go all in or do exactly what you just said, though. I really think they're going to try and do, like, obviously the dream case would be a Utah package for Donovan Mitchell, but I just don't see that ever happening. I think it would be more like a dump to Portland for a draft pick or something really stupid, nothing like something we're all going to get angry at initially. Just be like, wow, really didn't get anything? Or they're going to be like, wow, we really sold high on him.
I mean, if I'm in my honest heart of hearts of what I really believe, I think he's a New Orleans Pelican because I don't see Zion Williamson playing any more games there, and I just think he's the easiest part of that trade package. But
that's why I say he's going to be back next year because it wouldn't happen this summer.
You don't think it happens this summer?
I think this has been my Zion stance for a minute now. He just is coming off that injury as a hefty individual. He's not going anywhere until he signs the next contract. I think he shows up next year. He's ready to go. He looks like he did last season. He starts to play. They go, okay, we're ready to play ball again. Here's your new contract. We want to keep you in New Orleans because we have no other choice but to give you this contract. He gets that. In that next year or so, I think he's out.
I don't think it gets there. I don't think he touches the court for them again, not in a uniform. And I think that he still gets that. Like when we traded KP still got his money. I think he makes sure he gets traded before that time comes so that he can get his money.
Yes, but that was also a fairly unprecedented situation with KP. That's why that was such a big deal, was the way he was forcing his way out while also trying to get the money. So
I think this is more unprecedented with like for Zion to not let them know about his foot until like the week before training camp, and then to be away from the team, rehabbing in Portland, like at the Nike headquarters. I don't think he has any intentions of playing basketball for that team. I don't know anything. I like to make that abundantly clear all the time. I know nothing. But like the writing on the wall just looks like he doesn't plan to be there. I don't think he's going to play another game there. I think that might happen I think him getting traded this summer is more realistic than him playing for them again. I don't think he's going to play for them anymore. But if that's not the case and you just got to move, I understand what you're saying. You definitely try to get the maximum you can for him. It's just, in my opinion, at this point where I'm at, it's kind of an addition by subtraction thing. Like, I'm not even that concerned about what the return is. Just get him out of my way. That's where I'm at this point. Get him out of my way. Like, if you can get a first-round pick, great. If you can get some kind of asset, great. But I can 100% confidently say that if I were to go into, and it's not the ideal scenario because, of course, you want things to happen this summer. You want exciting things to go down, blah, blah, blah. But if we came into next season with Emmanuel Quigley, Quentin Grimes, RJ Barrett, Obi Toppin, Mitchell Robinson, I'd be excited. So, like, I'm not that concerned about the return. Just get that guy out of here. Get him out of my way. It's gross. It's disgusting. It's not even about the numbers. It's not, 20-10-5, that's great. It'll be great somewhere else. He's nasty. His attitude sucks. Like, he doesn't want to be here. He doesn't act like he wants to be a part of the team. Like, and I'm not one to be like a body language expert, but like, come on, bro. How much more evidence do we need? I don't jump to conclusions off body language, but I also don't ignore what's right in front of me. And like last night when he flipped that ball over his shoulder and went out the other tunnel, I was like, yo, he's done. Like, you know, and then there was that one video, and I know a lot of people are like, oh, blah, blah, blah. The entire team comes out of the tunnel, and every single player on the team gave high fives to the people in the crowd sticking their hands down like everybody in the NBA does when they come out the tunnel. And Julius Randle comes out last and doesn't even give so much as a wave or anything.
Yeah, that was
like, that was crazy. That was wild. Like, I know we sound stupid reacting to it, but like, come on, son. Like, that's wild.
Yeah, do it for the kids.
Only you. Everybody else did it.
That's what I think is it's either beef or he's like in a really deep funk of like something that we don't know about, because that was just like, I'm not paying attention or I'm choosing not to pay attention.
Yeah, I can't even do the funk thing anymore, man. Like at a point in the season, I was like, okay, you know, maybe he's going through something. I was worried. At one point I on post-game pouting, whatever it was, and I made the clip too, I was like, yo, I am legitimately concerned for Julius Randle as a human being. And I meant that. I was concerned for him as a human being. But like, that's a 2-week, 3-week, that's not an entire season kind of thing. At this point, this is just who you are and what you're doing. I can't be like, oh, something must be going on. He himself said he was fine. They ridiculed the idea of us thinking something was wrong with him. So all I have to go off of is what you tell me. So if you say you're fine, if it's that bad and it's that serious for something, because we all know I'm Mr. Mental Health. I'm the mental health guy. Take some time away from basketball, figure out what you got to figure out. But if you're going to be on the court, I'm going to evaluate the basketball played, how you fit in with the team, all of that stuff. And that's all we can do. That's our job. That's what we do here. We do it on the pod. We do it on the tweets. We do it during the game. That's what we do. You play, we evaluate. That's it. I can't insinuate, oh, something must be happening. No, I don't care about all that. It's been like 7 months, bro. He's affected my mental health this year more than I've affected his. And I'm still responsible for carrying on and doing what I can't be like, oh, you know, Julius Randle's. No, I got to figure it out. So,
yeah, I mean, it's a shitty situation, man. It's unfortunate. It is what it is. Okay, there's valid points to move it, of course. It's just, you know, if this is supposed to be a pragmatic and cautious and smart front office, I expect that they're probably not just going to dump him. That's kind of how I feel. Like, and the thing is too, even if you move him this summer, you could still like not dump him and move him this summer. Like I'm saying, like you could move him if you want to move him. Like there's nothing wrong with being on that side of the argument, whatever. Just I'm just not of wanting to totally dump. Like to me, it's not there. You know, like I think even if he wants to be done, that's fine. We got months to talk to teams leading into next year, training camp, whatever, to try to figure something out. So I think just be smart about what you try to do. That's it. And either way, like if you're going to move forward with the RJ thing, like that's what you should be doing anyway. That's fine. I love the Zion thing that happened too. Like, you know, there's stuff that's got around about that so far about him coming here or whatever. Like I've heard some stuff like I can't say something like I would ever report, whatever say, because you
unconfirmed.
It truly is unconfirmed. You can't you can't confirm like some of the stuff that comes up. So it's just like you never really know. But it's like, yeah, obviously, like it, like RJ and Zion obviously get along very well. You know what I mean? Like obviously, there's a world where I'm sure that they've considered playing together.
Don't forget Cam.
Like I am right now. I'm sorry, but yes, Cam does factor into it also from that Duke trio. But yeah, I mean, if that's the move, and they want to dump him back in New Orleans, and you know, New Orleans is happy about that because they can't get anybody else. And
CJ Randle Ingram's not terrible at all.
It's really
Jonas.
not.
And Jonas, that's a good team.
It's really not that bad, to be quite honest with you. But if that's what you want to do, you know, get a first or something out of. Well, no, we'd have to be paying up for Zion. I don't know. I mean, that'd be fine, but I don't think that's going to be the move. But you know, either way, I think Zion's only going to be here when Randall isn't. So I don't know what the overlap or not, or deal would look like. But I think that's what you would hope for. I just don't think it's going to be this year.
What is your? And we're getting ahead of ourselves, of course, but discourse. What is your Zion trade?
Ooh, I mean, that's tough because you never know what that dickhead David Griffin wants. But
He'll be fired soon.
okay, so first of all, because I know that there's people that exist because they always do whenever we have our fun trade takes, everybody has to poo-poo and ruin it, right? Yes, I'm aware that Zion is fat. Okay, I'm aware that he was a hefty guy. I'm aware that he's a fat guy who had a foot injury. I'm aware, right? Let's just bring it up right in the front, all right? We are all three of us on this podcast. We're acknowledging the fatness of Zion and that fatness with a foot injury. We're there, okay? We understand the risk. We understand the re-injury risk. We understand how that could be lingering an issue, how that could come back to bite us if we give him a hefty contract. Okay, let's just get it out of the way. I still think you gotta give a bunch of first round picks, right? I mean, I just think about when he was healthy. I think there was never a more efficient paint scorer than Zion Williamson at the age of like 20 years old. It was a high volume of which he was doing it. People bounce off of him as he just floats through the air on the way to the rim. I think if you give RJ Barrett a vertical threat like that again, somebody who he'd be reunited with, he's played with already, NBA spacing, hopefully not a war criminal of a head coach who provides him better offensive system. I think that'd be, obviously that's the fever dream. We all wanted Zion a few years ago, but imagine, you double dip on that Duke team and you get both the top guys and they both pan out in the NBA. I mean, you can't script it better than that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, what other plan could the Knicks do to get you that excited, right? Because Donovan Mitchell, right? Like we've talked about that. Obviously, we'd all be through the moon if we got Donovan Mitchell. But I think like the upside potential with like a Zion here is pretty massive. So I don't know what my trade would be per se, but as you know, with all my like Godfather offer, superstar deal type things, I'm always like, well here's 3 picks. For starters, before we get anywhere else, here's 3 picks. Okay. Like that's, so you know where I'm at, unprotected. I'm not even fucking around with protections, unprotected, just take it. Right. And then, take your pick. I mean, we got some young players here. I mean, who's interesting to you? I'll let you know if you go too far, but who's interesting to you? Mostly have who you want. And then, we'll figure out the salary. So it's probably going to be like 3 picks. I mean, you probably send Obi, right? I mean, you got to give him something exciting for exciting. Obi, I mean, quickly. I mean, any of these guys. This is for Zion we're talking about. I would send a lot here. I mean, I feel like at that point, I'm going to be bullish on who I can sign to complete whatever it is that I'm doing, or who I'm going to be able to get to complete. So I'm sort of just going all the fuck in. They maybe. Everybody is what I'm trying to say. Everybody. You could have like everybody that's not named RJ Barrett, and most of all the picks that's the answer.
Mike?
Yeah. Dream case scenario. This is purely dream case. Randle, Fournier, and then Obi and probably quickly as well, and then a slew of picks. Because you're probably going to have to pay Cam, you're going to pay Zion, and you're definitely paying RJ. So I think you're just trying to go all in with that, and then you still have Grimes left over, which is very good. And Deuce is still around as well as Jericho. So you still have stuff to build with, and Mitch.
So for me, I started at Julius Randle and 4 picks. And then from there, it's how much closer do I need to get to what they want? I feel like, especially because Zion hasn't played in a while, like he hasn't played all. Of course, he's still Zion, but this isn't injury risk. I feel like that brings the price down a little bit. I also think that we'll probably be the one team on his list, and the only place he would accept an extension. Like I kind of felt that he'd be backed into sending him to us. So I offer Julius Randle and 4 picks and try to see what that gets. And if I have to tip the scales, I add Quentin Grimes, even though it hurts my feelings. it would kill me inside.
That would kill me.
It would kill me inside. I love Quentin Grimes so much. But I mean, from the time we traded for Cam, I was like, ooh, Zion propaganda for sure. So I mean, if you've got RJ and Cam on the wings and you got Zion, I feel like to me in general, it's probably more important. I love Emmanuel quickly, and we can probably get to that in this pod too. But I think that you throw Quentin Grimes in that trade with Julius and 4 picks and a deuce if they won, or you ask if they care for Mitchell Robinson sign and trade. I don't know. They got JV. He's playing well. I don't know. But, you know, I feel like Julius and 4 picks starts a conversation. I would hope, at least. I have no idea. Like Kyle said, we have no idea what David Griffin wants or how they handle it or what the price would actually be. But I think Julius 4 picks and then Quentin Grimes seems like a fair deal for Zion Williamson, especially off of a foot injury and a year and a half without playing basketball. And yeah, losing Quentin would suck, but you got to give something to get something, and you have your 2 wings already. So, you know, oh my goodness, Emmanuel quickly, RJ Barrett, Cam Reddish, Zion Williamson, Mitch or Jericho, please. And I think because I don't think you have to send Obi because you're sending Randle. I would hate that for Obi to go somewhere else and back Randle up again. Oh my goodness.
I feel like Griffin would just do it just to be Griffin.
We got a dunk contest, champ.
No, he's just like always like he was like trying to trade up for RJ before the trade. He's just like one of those type of guys where he's just always just doing some fuck shit for no reason.
Yeah, I'm not big on David Griffin, but
Can't stand him.
No, not at all. But that lineup you mentioned, Shaun, you know, like yeah, obviously happened like quickly, RJ, Zion. Like to me, that's fun and exciting because me and Mike remember that whole year we were annoyed. Remember, we were just like, I mean, well, why do they got these 2 guys out here? No guards that can shoot with them. What sense does this make? You got what the fuck are you doing putting these 2 guys out and then packing the pick? Like what is the model for success here? We were irate. So I think if you're like, all right, we're taking the Duke thing, we're running it back, but also now the guards can shoot. I mean,
scary.
Come on.
It gets very fun, and everybody's like 22 years old. It gets very fun.
I mean, that's
why I want to keep Grimes, man. That's like literally the ideal 4th guy on the court.
I would love to keep Quentin Grimes in that scenario. I hope that no one who hears this thinks that I'm looking to trade Quentin Grimes. I just understand you have to part with something you love to get Zion Williamson.
Right. No, it's unfortunate how much we have to like stipulate every part of what we say because people do get really upset, man. It's wild. You say one thing and everybody that's it. Like they people don't ever like actually understand your point. They make like a separate point at you and then argue it, you know, like it's unfortunate. Like it is what it is. But but the point is the quickly thing, you know, right there just makes me think just in general. You know, he's been playing well. I've enjoyed watching him play lately. I think it's pretty easy to see why people would like him to get a real look with full confidence to just let him play. You know, I think he's made some really great passes. I think he's made some really great reads lately. I think he's, I think he's just gotten better as the years gone on in different aspects. You know, his shot wasn't there, remember, for a good part of the year. And what we've watched, at least for me this year, this was a defensive and playmaking season from Emmanuel quickly for me. Like last year was all about buckets, right? Like he would just get fucking buckets. He would check in the game, buckets. He might go for 30. You had no idea. We had no idea what was going on. Nobody did. He was coming into games 5 floaters in a row, 6 threes in a row, just unloading it, right? This year, that guy wasn't really there, you know, and I don't know what it was, but he just hadn't had the shot going, right? A couple big games, obviously. Everybody still gets, you know, a couple big games here and there, but it wasn't the same. But he was defending really well this year, consistently all year. Real good ball pressure. I thought he does really well fighting over screens. He never really goes under. He never really dies on any. And even when he chases, usually he makes up ground well. So I like what I saw, you know, from him on that end. And playmaking, like, yeah, obviously, like there's a difference between being like a true half court point guard like a Chris Paul, really measuring every option and knowing every cut that's going to happen. Of course, like that's one kind of point guard, but he's like a read and react type guy. And if he's in a free flowing system, if he's been empowered to run, you see some of those passes he can make are really good, really really quick, really crafty type things. Obviously, his favorite is still throwing it up, those lobs. He's always looking for Obi, looking for somebody in the air. But I just think those two things from him have been really really strong. So although the offense has been better lately, he's been finding his own shot. A couple big games, scoring. But I like that it wasn't just one thing. We got to see two kind of big areas of growth for him. So I think that's, kind of just enhances the point we made all year. We just want to see him get a shot. And, it sucks for Alec Burks because he's overextended at point guard. We've all said now for the 500 millionth time as Knicks people. So, when you see Quickly going again, it kind of makes you realize that Burks is, just a fine player when he plays a real role, but just not the overextended nonsense we've grown accustomed to. So, I mean, Quickly's been great, though. So, I mean, hopefully we get it next year. I don't know what else I'm supposed to say. I don't know if we get another point guard, but hopefully he gets a real shot because, he's been good. He's improved multiple areas, and I think he's earned it. To me, isn't that what you ask for young players, right? Improve in a bunch of areas you suck at. You're not good in these areas. Go get better at them, and then you've earned more time. So if he's gotten better as a passer, better as a defender, then therefore why hasn't he earned even more time? Where's his promotion? Where is I don't know what more he has to show you at that point.
He's been a beast on the glass, which is really underrated.
A beast on the glass.
Which, thank you, because how long all year was I complaining about long rebounds? I said we're getting blasted, yo. Our guards, nobody's looking. Every guard stands around all year looking, just waiting. Nobody's even they're not getting out on the break and they're not looking at rebounds. They're just standing like in that long two area of the opponent. So yes, I love watching him get rebounds. Absolutely. Good. Crash the fucking glass, man.
Because he's crashing the glass and he's immediately looking to push every single time.
I love it.
There was one play against the Pistons. He got the board and threw this amazing outlet pass to Obi, who is one of the best deep threat wide receivers in the NBA. It's crazy.
That's literally Mahomes to hell, bro.
Yeah, he literally stretches the floor it's amazing. And he threw it in stride. It was perfect. He made an excellent bounce pass to Mitch down the stretch of the game last night. Then that game, the big bucket by Alec Burks in the corner was Emmanuel quickly breaking down the whole defense and making a kick out. All these things that people have told me he can't do all this time, he's doing incredibly well. And like you said, Kyle, all season he's been playing great defense. He's been playmaking well. Those are the two things we wanted better from him after last season. The jumper fell off a cliff at a point this year, but I mean, he's a 90% free throw shooter. We saw what he can do as a shooter. I wasn't worried about the jumper at any point. None of us were. So it's just now we're seeing the jumper come back. We're seeing him get to the line at a star rate. I'm always very confused when he misses a free throw. At one point in the game last night, he made the first one. And I was like, the second one is good too. I'm not even going to watch it. I said it out loud. I was like, because some lady was like, boo, like a Bulls fan. And I was like, don't waste your breath. He's 90%. And I was like, I'm not even going to watch the second one. And he missed it. And I was like, oh, shit. Whoa. But yeah, he rarely misses free throws. He gets to the line. He's he'll go 8 for 8 from the line. He's a star. He scored 20 points in the fourth quarter against the number one team in the NBA with a great defense and still didn't get a start. I thought that was crazy. What does he have? Literally, nothing he does will get him a start. Our pace is so much better. We're able to initiate offense. He's making good reads. He's directing traffic. He's taking huge leaps, and people either forget or just didn't know he was the number one point guard in the country in high school. He's not new to playing point guard. It's not like we're trying to make some shooting guard a point guard. He was a point guard, and we're seeing him be able to do that, and we're seeing him be trusted to do that. And I feel like that's what's making the biggest leap. That play last night where he makes that kick out to Alec Burks 3 months ago, Emmanuel quickly doesn't get to do that. Emmanuel quickly comes down the court and has to defer to Julius and give him the ball at the high elbow and go spot up somewhere. So what a surprise when you let your second-year point guard play point guard, you get to see him play point guard pretty well. And I hope that we at least give him the opportunity in year 3. Like, there's not, outside of Jaden Ivey, there's not like a guy in this draft who was like, oh yeah, he can come in and be better than Emmanuel quickly tomorrow. So don't waste your time. Then in free agency, I mean, like, I don't want to give Jalen Brunson $20 million to give me what I think Emmanuel quickly can give me right now. Like, I don't need it. And so I think you just got to give him the opportunity, allow him to grow. I think you got a guy like Emmanuel quickly, you got a guy like RJ. RJ said something the other day in a press conference about them being able to grow together. And I think, yeah, that'd be amazing. I think they're both very high. I've always thought the sky's the limit for RJ. We all do. But man, I think Emmanuel quickly's ceiling is something that people don't understand. Everybody talks about his floor. Oh, he's a 6-man, blah, blah, blah. He's this and that, and he can't do this, he can't do that. And he's shown his ability to do so many things. And I think that given a real opportunity to be, I mean, the fact that, and after the season now, it's pretty much over 100 games, starting Elfrid Payton and Alec Burks over him at point guard. Indict that man, bro. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's not like we have a Chris Paul or a Damian Lillard, even a Malcolm Brogdon, where it's like, okay, that's the reason that Emmanuel Quickly is the backup point guard. He's backing up Elfrid Payton and Alec Burks. Like, you could have played that guy at point guard. So hopefully in year 3, he gets that opportunity. Start him at point guard, give him 30 minutes a game. Honestly, at this point, with the way he's been playing recently, we should be seeing 30 Emmanuel Quickly minutes a game. In my opinion, we should be seeing 35 Emmanuel Quickly minutes a game. And imagine what you could be in 24 minutes. He's like, in like 25 minutes a game, he's given us 15, 6, and 5 over the course of a month. And so I think if you give that guy 30, 35 minutes, I think you can easily get 18 points, 5 boards, 5 assists out of Emmanuel Quickly. I don't even think that's being, and efficiently too, especially if the jumper doesn't fall off a cliff for 2 months. And so when you got that kind of guy, he's able to get to the line that way. He defends well. He keeps the energy high. I don't know why you don't just lean into that. I mean, that could really help the youth movement that we have going on. And, you can grow. We very rarely have this kind of young talent to ever watch something develop. And I feel like that's why people are impatient. And they want Jalen Brunson. They want, you look around the league, even Anthony Simons right now. Anthony Simons going crazy. Year 2 Anthony Simons, nobody gave a shit about year 2 Anthony Simons. Like, nobody gave a shit about year 2 Jalen Brunson. But everybody's telling me what Emmanuel Quickly can't be in year 2, and I think it's crazy to me. So that's my point guard. I say it all the time. That's what I say when he scores. That's what I say when I quote the TKW clips. That's what I say in the Garden. That's my point guard. And I'm going to keep saying it. I'm going to keep screaming it because I'm so proud of him. And I'm looking forward to what he continues to become. And I hope he's here to do it.
Yeah, their best 3, like, moving forward, it's very simple. Just keep RJ, Quickly, and Obi together for as long as possible. Just figure out a way to keep them on the floor because those 3 are always doing something. You can't really say that for a couple other people on the team, whether they're struggling or not. No one hustles like Quickly and Obi, I think, and RJ as well, but those 2 more.
You got to make shit happen, man. You got to make shit happen, and I feel like just stylistically, that's what Quick does. Like, it's not even about positions either. It's about, different guards, different point guards, shooting guards, whatever. Guys have different play styles in general. No 2 players are the same. Quickly plays a very distinct version of basketball, so just let him be the player that he's going to be. But it's not like he doesn't move the ball around. Like, he does whip it around when he's running up and down the court. So I just think you got to, when you have players who are imaginative like that and who are creative like that and can kind of provide you that sort of game breaker element offensively, not just like that microwave on fire, but that, like, when you watch a guy like really just like feeling it in the flow of a game, just in all facets, like that's kind of what he provides to you at times with the electricity that he can bring. So it's a special type of player if the upside is, taken care of in the right way. So hopefully we see him get an opportunity. But yeah, he's fun, man. He's fun to watch, especially when he's on. It's a fun brand of basketball. So I don't know. Hopefully he's just gotta get minutes. Like, he's gotta get. It's that simple. You've seen 25 minutes of him. Now you got to see 30, 35. You got to see more.
Him and Deuce have to be the closing backcourt, especially when you need to stop moving forward. That has to be the backcourt you go with the game on the line. Those two just play off each other way too well.
I love it. It's beautiful on both ends of the floor. It's beautiful, honestly. And I like seeing Deuce getting more comfortable offensively. I wish he was given more time to do so. I mean, his hook is ridiculously quick. It's crazy. And it's like, it's not even a quick hook in terms of performance. It's just a quick hook, no matter what. Like, no matter how well you play defense, no matter if you score in the 30 seconds you get, I'm still going to pull you. Tom Thibodeau's a nasty man, bro. That's a nasty man. I can't have him here. He has to be gone. Him and Julius Randle both have to be gone. I can't do this anymore.
How long do you think he lasts next season?
30-something. I think it'll be a mid-season trade.
You talking about Julius or Tom Thibodeau?
Thibodeau.
Oh, same. I think he'll last like 20 games at least.
If God loves me the way I think he does, he won't make it to next season.
He's already confirmed making it to next season.
Is he confirmed making it to next season?
They already said that the Knicks want to bring him back.
And the summer's different.
That's no.
You guys like Jake Fisher more than I do.
The Knicks put this out there ahead of time so that you, Shaun, are prepared for the reality that Tibbs is brought back. They don't say this stuff, and also with the Fisher thing too. I always just go by accuracy. If you are correct, and you keep being correct, and you have multiple attempts of being correct on the same subject, I have no choice but to believe you until you start to look bullshitty. And you know, Shaun, I love finding the bullshitters, but if he's going to keep being right, I got no choice. It came from him. He was right about everything the last offseason. And remember, nobody wanted him. I did the same thing on the podcast last year. Remember, he reported Fournier, and I said, "Are we sure that this guy knows what he's talking about? Are we sure? I've never heard this guy in Knicks news before. Are we sure that this is a proper bit of information?" And what ended up happening? He was right about that. He was right about Noel. He was right about Burks. He was right about all the other deals. So unfortunately,
he could be right in the moment. Like, I'm not denying that, but plans do change. Like, this was right.
It's possible.
When did it come out? Did it come out like before? Like, RJ's been doing good the whole year, like the whole of 2022. But the young guys coming out like the last 2 weeks is like have to really change. Like, if you are watching these games, you can't say to yourself, whatever my plan was 3 weeks ago is still relevant today. Because that just means like you're just not adapting for anything.
I think that Miami game should have easily lost him his job for both what happened in the game and also what happened after. I think that this whole time we've been begging for the young kids to play. You don't do it. You play them. We go 3-0, then you stop playing them. Right. And then we have a big comeback in Miami because we watched, first of all, Emmanuel Quickley, as well as he's been playing, like we just said, for the past month or so. He played 9 out of 24 minutes in the first half of the Heat game. For what reason? If he didn't start going crazy in the fourth quarter, he would have played like 20 minutes that night, even though he's been playing really well lately. And Alec Burks and Evan Fournier did nothing that night. And we watched them all night. So then the young guys get out there, they make it happen, they bring us back in the game, they beat the best team in the East at the time. And Tom Thibodeau gets on the podium and talks shit to me. Like, oh, guys don't watch the film, blah, blah, blah. Like, are you serious? This is what you're saying right now? You want to die on this hill?
Let me tell you something. The Julius throwing the ball to leave the game, I put that right up there with Thibodeau's rant on just like clearly has a burn on Knicks Twitter or like people tell him about it, but that was the sign of a man that's breaking. Like, to go out of your way to go on a rant on that at that moment after a win was kind of weird.
It was a very great win. It was one of our best wins of the year. And you came up here and decided to start a beef with Knicks Twitter about watching the film. No, I don't watch the game 3 or 4 times. I hate that I have to watch it the first time. How many times do I need to watch you put Alec Burks in at the 6-minute mark and watch the offense, run the offense through him and lose the game? I don't need to watch that 3 or 4 times, bro. The fact you coming up here telling me you watch the games 3 or 4 times and still do the same thing over and over again is an indictment on you. It's not what you think it is. The 9 bad plays, 1 good play. Are you talking about Julius Randle? Are you talking about Evan Fournier? Because I don't think that Obi Toppin gets a long enough leash to make 9 bad plays over a 3-game stretch. So who are you talking about and who are you talking to? And that seemed like a guy who realized, oh man, I've been screwing up. This highlights my screw up, and now I have to come out and attack everybody else So there's not like, oh, why weren't you just doing Steve Jones, I believe it is. I hate to Steve Jones. Yeah, he made a thread about the Heat game. And at one point in it, he was like, I'm at the point now where I'm wondering why you didn't just hand the ball to Emmanuel quickly and let him run around instead of handing the reins of your offense to Alec Burks. And as I was reading Steve Jones's thread, he doesn't sound like a guy that watches a lot of Knicks games. So the fact that you broke down the film of this one game, and not 3 or 4 times on your first breakdown, you were able to conclude this that we've been saying all year. But Tom Thibodeau, like, I don't know, bro. Like, I don't want to see his next trick. Year 1 was overpaying. Year 2 was starting Alec Burks point guard all year, no matter what. I don't want to see his next trick. He doesn't need to be back. I think it would be like the front office let me down at the trade deadline. Outside of the trade deadline, I've been pretty in on them. They drafted really well. I feel like they've done okay. That would be my biggest letdown. If Tom Thibodeau is on the sideline in training camp, in preseason, and if he makes it to next season, that's a failure on the part of the front office, in my opinion. There's nothing he's done this year that warrants him coming back. I think it's been very obvious. It's been very egregious. This team did not have to be in it. The fact that we're still not mathematically eliminated is actually really annoying.
It's hilarious.
When you think about all the close games we dropped and all, like the fact that we went the entire February and won one game.
2-17.
2-17 while having like 6 20-point leads. Why are we bringing that guy back? This year could have been a playoff year. How many years do you need to watch him screw up? Let him go, please.
My fear is his last trick is gonna be saying he needed D Rose. That's like his last trick in the bag, because this team fell off a cliff once Rose was out for the season. So that's literally all he has left in his deck.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, at some point, like, we're also not wrong a lot either. You know what I mean? Like, at some point, like, we say the same sorts of things about like certain types of players, like taking risks on certain guys or rolling the dice on letting them play more. And like, that's what the Quickly thing is. Like, in certain sports, you need like those kind of gunslingers. We're always just kind of taking chances. Like, whatever the chance is, they just like make shit happen. Like in soccer, a guy, right, who's always in the box, just like always kick it like a Mo Salah, right? Always just kicking that fucking ball. Like, sometimes there's no angle, sometimes there's no real chance, but you just, hey, I'm kicking this shit in here. I'll make some shit happen, a rebound, whatever. Kick the ball back in. Like, that's what you need. Like, Quickly, to me, kind of gives you that like element of a guy who could just come in and like fuck shit up. Like, that's what you need. A guy who just comes in like. Sometimes, yeah, he's just lobbing it up over and over again to Obi, right? Like, he's not even doing too much himself. Sometimes he's coming in and he's banging those threes. Sometimes he comes in, it's the floaters. Like, you need a guy who could do a bunch of stuff very fast. Like, speed kills. Like, speed is important. You have to be fast, and especially in basketball and NBA, almost where speed is the most important thing. Like, of all sports, like, you have to be fast. You have to be, really on it. You got to have every angle, every split second, everything matters, right? So I don't know why you don't play a guy like Quickly more. I don't know why you don't see the upside there and think you gotta get him out there and just see how far you can kind of take it with them. And again, it to me, it seems like he's a Thibodeau guard. Like, in reality, what he's become, maybe Tibbs didn't see it initially, but like he's scrappy, he's undersized, right? He defends well, he passes pretty well right now, and he scores. And I feel like in Chicago, Tibbs had all those little guards that he loved, those Nate Robinsons, those John Lucases. He had these little guards who would just run around, play big minutes for him. And Tibbs would maximize and get the most out of him. And I'm over here like, man, you couldn't figure out how to do that with Emmanuel Quickly. All these other funky little no names you figured it out with, and you couldn't figure it out with Emmanuel Quickly. That's nuts to me. It really is. And even with the bench last year, right? Oh, I can't start him over Alfred. I can't start Quickly over Alfred because Derrick Rose and Quickly are too good off the bench together. I need to have them together. I can only play them together. Well, this year, we don't have Derrick Rose most of the year. And then what?
Crickets.
And then what? How we're gonna weaken the bench, right? If we take Emmanuel Quickly off, we're not weakening the bench by taking off one of our best bench scorers, Alec Burks. We're not weakening the bench that way. It makes no sense. It never made sense. So I don't know. Try new shit. try new stuff when the other thing isn't working. So yeah, it would have been nice, but good to see quickly balling. Obi's obviously played really well, as we touched on before, with the Randle stuff. So that's been great. It's been good to see Jericho get some of those minutes while he's hit or miss mostly. Obviously, he's going to be, when Mitch is out, he's going to play more minutes. But good to see him get out there. He's made a pretty decent impact in the time that he's been out there. But the main thing I want to touch on before we get out of here tonight, boys, is RJ Barrett. As of the last game is now, and I saved this for the end of the pod because it was a very gross pod we had to get through for multiple reasons, multiple
Mike,
topics.
air horns, please.
But I'm just gonna let Mike drum roll here. So it was a gross season for so many reasons, right? But we finally got back to a point where we could find some silver lining, and that silver lining, gentlemen, after a season where he started very slow, right? Atrocious start to the season. Just watching Evan Fournier get force fed while he stood in the corner, couldn't get going, right? Disgusting month and a half or so. After all that, RJ Barrett is averaging 20 points per game this NBA season. Yes. 20 points per game, guys.
Yes, sir.
Do not call it.
20 points a game. 20. I mean, boys, do I love points or do I love points? I love points.
And you know what? He's doing this without shooting 80% from the line. So, and I think he's a hard enough worker where he's going to get to I'm going to be ambitious and say above 80, but even so, I think he's going to get right around there. So that you could pencil him in for 25 at this current rate next year. I feel very confident in that statement.
100%, Mike. I've already said RJ Barrett will be a 25-point per game scorer next year, and I'm very confident in it. We've seen him do that since January. He's averaging 24, 25. And, he's doing it every night, even on off nights. Like the Detroit game, he was not really that good. He had 21 and 9. Even on his off nights, he's getting 20. So it's just next year, 25 a game. It's happening. It's going to be better from the free throw line, I believe. I feel like right now, this season, I feel like RJ is a 3-level scorer that doesn't use the mid-range much. And I think that coming into the next season, he'll work on that mid-range a lot, and he'll be a killer from there as well. And it's curtains for the league. Oh, no wiggle, right? Yeah. No wiggle. He'll never be a scorer. That was people's basketball analysis.
Can't
wiggle. Can't shoot. No wiggle. Not athletic enough. Shut the hell up. 20 point per game scorer year 3. Stop playing with my guy.
20 a game, man. It makes me so happy happening in year 3 because we got on this pod and I was like, man, remember, I think, not exact quote, but I was like, wow, man, it'd be really tough, but I think he could be a 25-5 guy. If you're a 25-5 guy in the NBA, that's really hard to do. I think he could be a 25-5 guy. I don't know when, but I think that's what he could be. And we're getting a 25, 3 guy in year 3. And it's yeah, I don't know what the full upside is, but that's a big. Year 1 was 14 points a game, right? Horrible efficiency, I know, but 14 points a game, not much else. Year 2 was 17 and a half almost, right?
17.6, yeah.
Year 3 you get to 20. This is the level of scoring progression I've always hoped for from draft picks. No more lies. No more lies sold on the potential of upside. I'm seeing real life results in front of me, boys, with my own eyes. Right here, I'm seeing it. I'm seeing scoring evolution happen. I'm seeing him jump 6 points per game in total over 2 years. I can't believe it. I can't believe we have a young player capable of putting that orange basketball in the hoop. I can't believe I'm seeing this with my own eyes year after year. I don't know about 25. I don't want to set myself up for disappointment. How we did it this year with expectations, all right? I want to temper. But I do think, next year, if he's really going to be the number 1 option all year, this is the new course of action with Tibbs, without Tibbs, because it's been with Tibbs since December, January like this. So I think if this is really the course of action, this is year 4 RJ. I think they're going to tweak the roster a little bit. I think I'm just going to give it a gap, but I think he 23, 25 over the course of a season, because once you become the top option, as we've learned, teams start the game plan for you a little differently. They do make your life a little bit more difficult. And then taking on a full top option workload in the NBA over the course of a season wears on you a little bit. So there's going to be some slumps inevitably. So I don't want to get too high, but I do think he's going to be able to basically do what he did to close this season out over the course of a full season. And then, you know, we don't talk about the 20 point per game thing. We're talking about when / you know, he's going to actually get over the 25 point per game mark. So it's possible next year for sure, just given how he's played. But I think like at least 23 is like how I confidently feel. I feel like at least 23. Like that's a good, if you get to 22, 23, like in year 4, like we're really getting someplace.
I will note, last 16 games, he's technically been pretty cold from the floor. He's still averaging 24 and a half. He's just getting to the line a lot, which is really encouraging. And that's why I think once he reaches like 80%, like right now over the stretch, he's shooting 77 from the line. He's shooting below 40 from the field, 30 from 3. And he's still getting 24 and a half. I'm telling you, I think 25 is very doable for him.
It is.
He's here and he's him.
Yes, sir.
I mean, the last thing that I'm going to ask you guys, because it's come up, it was something that was discussed a little bit this week, and we've talked about it in the past. But what do you think RJ Barrett fetches now on his new contract? Because I know we had the Berman thing about, he's not going to, are we sure he's not worth the max or whatever?
Disgusting article, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a little bit of a wild article from Mr. Berman, but I think if we're being like totally honest, I think it's fair to like always wonder when you're going to give the full max out if the guy's worth like 100% the full max, because yeah, it's the full max. I understand why you're going to question, that's what you do. You question, okay, are we sure this is the guy, et cetera, right? So I understand that to a degree. I understand. But at the same time, like whatever he signs, it's going to be for a substantial amount of money, right? Like I at first thought he was going to sign something like what Jaylen Brown got a couple years ago. And what Jaylen got was 4 years, 108, 10. Was it?
I think Jaylen got, wait, no. Because as I'm doing this math, it feels like it doesn't make sense.
I'll look it up.
I felt like Jaylen got 4 years, 130. Or 4 years, 115 or something like that.
Or 106.
106. Okay.
So if you factor basically like the new market now, that would be like RJ, like almost what you just said, Shaun. That'd be like RJ getting like 120 something, 130, right? So like that's not even wild. So then if you figure that if he's playing like a 25-5 guy or 25 and 4-ish guy, right? That's going to get you paid a pretty decent amount. So if you're looking at somebody who's going to get paid north of $150 million, like I think that's reasonable. Yeah. I think it's a reasonable gamble because you're looking at somebody with an all-around game like that. Like if he wasn't rebounding and like passing, I mean, if we're keeping it a totally, this is not, I'm not trying to, do the full weigh the cons thing either, but like RJ can stand to pass a little bit more sometimes. It's not a big deal because he's like coming into his own as a top option right now. He's taking like the brunt of an offensive workload, like a scoring workload, which is like, that's what we want. But he can pass, and in the future, he's going to need to pass more and evolve that way. He's certainly capable. So like but yeah, I think like right now he's only averaging like 3 or so, but he could get there 4 or 5 easily. So he's going to get paid though. You can't put up all around. That's what everybody loves, right? If you pull up all around numbers, that's what everybody loves. The Luka lines, right? The Harden lines, the Jokic lines. Like you put up those big beefy triple double lines. You put up those big, those 3 category lines. Like people go nuts. So if RJ's filling it up there, like not that traditional, not like counting stats are the only thing that matters, but like, yeah, if you're filling it up in those all three categories, like, yeah, you're going to get paid. So he keeps coming along. Like, I don't know. I feel like over 150 is kind of fair. I don't know what I'd pay per se now, but
if you're willing to pay Porzingis 158, you should not bat an eye at paying RJ 158. That's my feeling on it.
Is that his max? What's his?
Well, I don't know if it's 158. I know that's what Porzingis and Booker signed for, and that was a few years ago. But that was like the high end. I'm trying.
I don't think RJ gets the 200 something one, right?
Was Donovan Mitchell? Yeah, he just got his. Donovan did 195, but I'm pretty sure he made an All NBA team, right? There has to be some reason that his number's really high. 5 for 195 is kind of wild.
Yeah, honestly, like there's whatever RJ's max is, bro, give it to him. Don't care. I understand the nuance of okay, you got to question whether or not a guy, but I feel like from RJ, you've seen a guy. I mean, you're going to next year, right? Mike and I feel like he'll be 25. Kyle, you feel like 23 is realistic. If a guy's averaging 23 points a game, grabbing you 6-7 boards, getting 3-4 assists, and playing solid defense, and is top 10 in jersey sales, what is he not worth? Like, give him his money.
His max is 181. That's the most they can give him.
Oh yeah,
over 5 years.
I believe so. Let me
pay him today.
Yeah, I mean that's not.
I think you do that.
I thought like if it was gonna be over 200 over 200ish, that's where I was like, all right, I could understand why when you start getting there, people get a little bit iffy. Like for anybody, I could understand. But if we're talking like 180. I mean, we're going to split hairs to save like what the 20 million to get a more fair number at 160.
Give that man
whatever. The Yankees. That's some Yankees moves.
Like I mean, I feel like the goofy conversation to have is what like the fairest market analysis for him right now would be like what if it's what I used to think the Jaylen Brown number would be. That's about $130 million. So. You factor in, well, they're probably going to pay him more now anyway. So that's like, what, $150 million. So then we go back to what I just said, which is if you're already going to spend 150 and you can go to 180 and he wants 180. And that's his first max too. Like, obviously, if he's better, the next one, he's going to get an even bigger deal. But like for his first deal, like that he might outperform anyway. Like it's not wild.
Andrew Wiggins got 4 years, $150 million, bro.
Yeah. Like, I think he's better than Wiggins. Jimmy Butler makes around 30 to 36, I bet. Like, I think in a couple of years, RJ's up there with them. Probably
the way I look at contracts, honestly, is just like, especially for long-term deals, how am I going to feel about this deal in year 3?
Exactly.
And in year 3, when you get 24-year-old RJ,
that's what I'm saying.
I'm confident that 25-year-old RJ Barrett is going to be one of the best players in the NBA. And
it's ridiculously young. Like it's so underrated how like his like obviously you never want to do age as like a main asset, but he's putting
Kevin
up
Knox,
numbers,
baby.
Yeah. Shout out Kevin Knox. I don't know if he's taken off his Hawks warm up yet, but I hope he's doing well. But yeah, no, he's gonna be 24 in year 3 of a max. Like that's insane to think about. Isn't Obi 24 right now? Or maybe he's like come on. And like RJ's he's closing on a franchise records for like 30-point games before a certain age. Like he's proving he's up there.
Yeah. Just pay him, man. Just pay him. It's pretty simple. I think he's a budding young star. I think we've been pretty right about him, and he's I don't know. He's going to be pretty good, man. He's going to be really, really good. So just pay him. I'm pro paying guys. We're all pro paying guys on this podcast. I was happy to do it with Randle. Obviously, things don't always work out the way that you want, but I thought it was a good approach. You could always alter contracts. You could always move, man. I'm not worried. That's why I never worry about any of this stuff. You can always move people. You can always get out of stuff, but you got to just pay these guys. So pay RJ. Figure it out later. Lock them in. You swung and missed with KP. You got him out of here just before it, right? The Randle thing looking like it's not going to work out now. All right, so maybe we move on from that, right? Third time's a charm. Open up the checkbook again. Pay RJ Barrett. Like just knock it out. Let's move on here. I think it's a very simple thing. I think he's going to be a good Knick. I really feel it. feels different with him. We felt it for a while, but really feels more so now, especially given, the Randle conversation. So just hope they do it. I don't know. I'm curious to see, obviously, next year or so, 6 to 8 months, whatever, we'll probably start hearing numbers, whatever, what they're looking to actually sign him for. But either way, just do it. Just pay him. Let's not overcomplicate this. Just make everybody happy. Let's all just move on right off to the sunset. Like Shaun said, if he's going to be a 25 point per game type guy, you got to just pay him. So, yeah. The last thing, this just because it was one of Mike's notes here, we have to touch on very, very quickly. Evan Fournier, 3-point record. I've been nice to Evan Fournier. We're going to spend a very short amount of time on this, but I've been very, very nice to Fournier these last few months because I felt like, hey, he's still not doing anything else, but he's doing his job, scoring the basketball, shooting the ball, and unfortunately, they paid him too much to do it. But hey, he's here, he's doing it. All right, nothing else I could say. I think Shaun, me, Mike, we've all been pretty good about that. We haven't been saying nothing, right? He broke the record, right, for all-time Knicks 3-pointers in a season. And in fairness to him, congratulations. Like, it's a record. You own it for an NBA franchise. A shooting record, like that's not nothing. Like, so actually, genuinely good for you, right? But also, and not to sound like a hater, but this is one of the worst franchise records I feel like existed for teams. Like, it was John Starks.
That's sad.
And JR, if I'm not, which season was it for JR? Was it 11-12?
Had to be. That's like when he went nuts.
Because 11-12 was the lockout shortened season, right? So JR probably breaks it in a not lockout shortened season, right? Maybe. So I don't know. So I just think he got lucky we're in a 3-point era. I feel like I don't know. I don't want to sound like too big a hater here, but it's just like I feel like we never have shooters here, bro. We never have shooters for like 2 decades. We didn't have shooters. Like, I feel like it's not that impressive a record when there's been like maybe 3 guys who can shoot the basketball over the course of 30 years here. Like,
that's really pathetic. No, but it's on a serious note, though. It's a good case study of what Quentin Grimes could do in year 2. I would just say watch Evan Fournier the rest of the year. Hold Grimes out. He's out tomorrow. Hold him out the rest of the season. Say just study Evan Fournier and be prepared to be Evan next year. Just way better.
Yeah, I think that Quentin Grimes breaks that record in no time if he's still here. I think Emmanuel quickly can break that record. But while we're here, shout out to Evan Fournier, man. At the end of the day, not being a hater, he broke a record. That's really dope. The Knicks are a very storied franchise. And his name is right there in the record books. Shout out to him for that. And that's the first thing I'm bringing in the conversation this offseason. How would you like to have a record-breaking 3-point shooter on your roster? I'm asking that to every single team with the telephone and using that in trade conversations for sure. But, shout out to him, and hopefully it works out in our favor because I still want him gone. But, shout out to him.
Yeah, he could easily fold it, so I do give him credit for that. Like, he was getting a lot of shit, like, in the middle portion of the season, and he kind of stuck it out and became pretty useful.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would still, he's first on my list. I'm calling teams, like Shaun said. Day one, I'm already tampering. If I'm Leon Rose, I've been tampering ahead of time, trying to get him out of here. I'm working extra hours right now to back channel and make deals, but good for him. I mean, we made a graphic that said we need more out of Evan Fournier consistently when he had that stinker and an almost Tony Snell game. And, to his credit, almost right after that, he came out and started playing better and shooting the ball better and had a pretty good stretch there. So, at least from a 3-point shooting aspect, he did his singular one job. that we hoped that he would do, which is what we were upset about inconsistency-wise to start the season. So good for him. Good for him. So owns one record. But on that note, good catch-up episode with everybody here. Thanks for listening, of course. Been a tough year, obviously. I know this hasn't been the most fun season after last season. We had a lot of fun coming on here, leading up to the playoffs, talking about all the fun that we were about to have in that playoff series, everything being back in. But, we can go back to sort of prospect watching. We can, draft season coming back up. We got a lot lottery pick coming in, baby. I mean, we're back. We're back like we never left in our most comfortable position. So, I can't wait to see what happens. Hopefully we get some lottery luck for once. I mean, we deserve to move up. We deserve something that's not just the 7th or 8th pick. I'm tired of the Kevin Knox slot, the Frank Ntilikina slot. I need something else. Even if it pick 5, give me pick 5. I'll take pick 5. I'm not picky. I just don't want the 7, 8, 9 nonsense. I just want to get out of there.
I want Banchero.
Give me a top 4 pick.
I want
pot for the Zion deal.
Yes. I want, and if not, I want Ivy or Banchero. I want
Banchero. Oh my God.
My fellow countryman. I need him. I need him here. I think he's nasty. Listen, I don't want to get. I know it's very late. I don't want to get a full tangent. I think it's very nasty that people don't think he's the number 1 overall pick. I don't want this to be my scorching. This isn't even a scorching take. I think we're overcomplicating it. If you look at him, he's like a 4 or 5, and he plays he's very fluid. He's got great footwork. The way he handles the ball, the way he can create shots. I mean, I'm seeing him do spinning. He's on the perimeter he's dribbling, handling the ball, creating into a spinning fadeaway near the 3-point line. It's ridiculous shit that he's doing. He's like 6'10". I mean, it's nonsensical. I think we're, I think people have been, I see Chet Holmgren and I understand it a little bit, but it's just don't overthink it. Just don't, he jumps off the screen. I mean, it's really quite obvious to me. I'd be really surprised and quite devastated if he was not a good NBA, a really good NBA player. I think he's going to be outstanding.
He's one of the few ones I've actually enjoyed watching. I didn't really like watching anyone else, Jaden Ivey included. Obviously, I've only seen 3 or 4 games, but
he looks like a pro out.
It was a pretty whack tournament, except for watching Duke because of him. I was like, oh, this guy's really good. And I think New York's ready to have an Italian back. The Gallinari years were not as good because the team stuck, but I feel like he was just getting good, and the Garden loved him. I feel like we're ready for another Italian.
The Garden did love him. Everybody used to do the rooster when he would do the rooster. Nobody remembers this. This was a very special time in Knicks history. He would, after he hit a couple of big threes, he'd go like this because Gallo, the rooster, right? So he would do this, and then everybody, you see people in the stands it was great. It was a good time. I miss it. I miss Gallo in New York. Man, if we could have kept one guy in that Melo trip, just one single guy, they had to send everybody out. If they could have just kept one guy, it should have been Gallo. But anyway, thank you guys for joining us for another episode of the Knicks Wall Podcast. We'll get out of here. We will catch you guys next time. But another great episode presented by Prize Picks. So we will talk to you guys next episode. Take it easy.
Adios.